Hi, I'm Jami Philbrick for iamROGUE.com. I'm here at the Paley Center in Los Angeles for the West Coast premiere of Justice League War, which is a new animated film from DC Comics. It'll be on Blu-ray and DVD beginning February 4th. I had a chance to talk to the cast and the crew about the new film. Here's what they had to say.
Well, we're not beholden to do only stories that have taken place since the New 52 in comics has been created, but we will be doing certain stories under a new continuity, meaning we are based on New 52, but that doesn't keep us from doing a story that happened before the New 52. It'll just be set in the New 52 world that we've created for the DTVs, if that makes sense.
So you could do something like an identity crisis.
Yeah, we could do identity. There's nothing to keep us from going back and doing Identity Crisis or, Hush, Rebirth. Yeah, I mean, it will be retold in a different way than those comic book stories were told because our characters are slightly skewed from what they were when those stories were originally told. But that won't keep us from adapting those if we choose to.
Let me ask you about adapting the Jeff Johns Jim Lee book to this film.
Okay, it was a very daunting task, just because, I'm a big fan of Jim Lee and Jeff stuff. So the one thing that I do is I do a lot of research. So, of course, I cracked open my copy of the book and just poured through it, try to figure out what I liked, what things that I figured that needed a little bit more elaboration, and then just, jumped in head first.
And with Justice League War, with the source material, you sort of have the opportunity to start fresh with these characters. Did that give you some freedom in casting, the fact that there is sort of a clean slate?
It gave me freedom in casting. What was difficult in that was to not, when I directed the actors in the vocal performances, was to not have them be too familiar with these roles as superheroes, as comfortable, confident, teamwork superheroes. They're not yet. They're individuals that are trying to find their ways. There's a couple of pals within it, but they're not working as a unit yet at all, and that's what this whole story is about, is how these people come to work together.
Why the switch of Aquaman for Shazam?
Oh, new question. No. Well, that actually came from the person who created the arc to begin with, Jeff Johns. And it was because we wanted to wait and give Aquaman his own showcase in one of these DTVs. Plain and simple. And I think when you see what Justice League War is, you'll understand that it was the best choice to make for Aquaman and for the other characters in War to give them room to shine too.
I was in a room. It was myself. It was Alan Burnett from Warner Brothers Animation. It was Mike Carlin from DC Entertainment, and it was Jeff Johns. And we were all talking about it. And one of the things they really try to do with these movies, which I think is great, is we want to go off the rails. We want to give you a different experience. And if we gave you the exact same team doing the exact same thing, why is that different than what you're reading at home? You might as well just go read the comic book. The voices will be the best voices you've ever had in your head, and nothing will be different. So the notion when Jeff mentioned it, he was like, what do you think of doing this? I was like, it sounds like an interesting challenge to me, because after issue 3, we're off the rails. It's a completely different experience. So I wanted to make it work, and I thought it was a really fun idea. Also, you get Cyborg, who's young, and Shazam, who's young, and the two of them have a really interesting friendship. And so to have those two voices together and everybody else be slightly older actually organically worked for me. So that worked.
Oh, that was Jeff's decision. So Jeff, before we even wrote the script, Jeff was like, well, you know what? I want to save Aquaman for something else, and let's put Shazam in. It'd be a good fit for Cyborg. So by the time I got to it, Shazam was already in there.
It was a done deal.
Yeah, it was already a done deal. I mean, if it was my choice, I put Black Manta in everything. So
Black Manta.
I put him in everything, but if it doesn't fit the story, it doesn't fit the story. But
well, I heard there's a little end credit teaser with Ocean Master that might tease towards something with Aquaman in the future. Can you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess you can tell what the next one will be, so you'll see it. I can't comment on that yet.
Is that Throne of Atlantis?
It might be.
How much freedom did you have with sort of adapting that scene?
There was a bunch of versions of it, and eventually we landed on what it was going to be to tease something that we may or may not do in the future.
You've cast actors to voice these characters so many times in the past, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. Was it hard kind of coming up with a fresh new cast for this new film?
It's always hard. I think someone told me, I didn't even know, that I've cast Batman now 17, 18 times. And every time it's intimidating because it's a really beloved character and everybody knows it. And they have an idea in their mind of who it is. And usually it's Kevin Conroy is who they think of as Batman. And I know why, because he did so much wonderful work. And when I get offered one of these movies to direct, my first question is, can I use Kevin Conroy? And then I'll get a yes sometimes, and sometimes they'll say, no, we're going to use completely different artwork. We want a whole different voice for this. So I have to go back to the drawing board, look at some of the names of people that I've approached before who couldn't do it for scheduling conflicts, or it wasn't the right role at the time, they didn't particularly care for the piece, and then they're now available. And then also, a lot of us will just throw names together and just go, how about, you know who I saw recently, blah, 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 and then we'll all put together a list of who we want to pursue. And so it's exhausting and intimidating because there's such well-known characters, from Wonder Woman to Cyborg to, Captain Marvel or whomever. They're all just enormous characters.
This guy's kind of interesting to me. He's half black, he's half white. I'm half black, half white. He's athletic, I'm athletic. He's a big-time football player. I played football. My big sport was baseball. He wants the love and validation of his father, which is tough for him to come by. I know about that. I grew up with mostly my mom. And then I just like that it's not just a bunch of superheroes kicking butt, and to be able to be the voice that kids love, adults love. There's this whole cult following. But I love that there's a human quality to the story. And so where you get to emote, you're delving into the backstory of these people, and you understand who they were and how they became who they are today. And Robert Downey Jr. is an action figure in Toys R Us. Maybe this is my audition to be Cyborg in a movie. I don't know.
That would be amazing. Is that something you'd like to do?
Of course I would.
Because eventually they'll do Justice League. It'll be Cyborg.
In a lot of ways, that'd be cooler than winning an Oscar or a Golden Globe or a Primetime Emmy. Now, I would love to get all those things. Don't get it twisted. But to be able to be in a movie and play half man, half machine, Cyborg, because the last black superhero that I remember was Spawn. So here we are in 2014, so that says a lot.
I think the Flash, like all of us that love these movies, is he's a real fan of these superheroes. And so he's the one who thinks it's an amazing idea that they work together as a team. And for me, that's a really fun thing to play.
What's your relationship like, Flash's relationship like with Batman and Green Lantern in this?
Well, he is a huge fan of Batman, and it's one of my favorite moments in the movie, actually, is that he kind of fangirls out when he meets Batman. So you'll have to see it in the movie, but it's great.
Did you read the Jeff Johns material or just go off the script?
No, I never read that material. I was going cold off the script, and it's an amazing script. They did a great job adapting it.
What was it like coming in and playing the big villain, playing Darkseid in this big film?
Intimidating. It's a great cast, fantastic script. One of my favorite directors in the entire world, Andrea Romano. It was really an easy process for me, other than getting past the intimidation factor of playing a god. Once I got past that, the words just sort of dialed me right in, and it was a very organic thing.
Is there a wish list of anyone that you haven't gotten yet to work with, of any actor that you really still like, when something comes up, let's see if we can fit this person in?
John Hamm. I will find John Hamm. I saw an episode of Archer the other day, and I saw his name on the credits, and I thought, damn it, I wanted to get him first, but he's just never available. I could never, ever get him. I put offers out to him. I will not stop trying. I will get to work with John Hamm. I think he can do comedy. I think he can do drama. I think he's a stunning actor. I also want, at some point in my life, to work with Christopher Lee, and I have to do it soon because the man is not a young man anymore, but what a stunning voice, and I would love to have the opportunity to work with him.
In a perfect world, what characters would you like to cast them as?
I think Ra's al Ghul for Christopher Lee. I think he'd be a wonderful Ra's al Ghul. And John Hamm could do a million things. I think he could do a very good, we could go dark with him, we could go Batman with him, but I also think he could do one of the more smart-ass characters, like Green Lantern. I think he'd be very good there, too.
I think fans would love to see him as Superman.
I think he could do Superman great. I do.
I can tell you're a big DC Comics fan, like myself. What other toys in the DC playbox would you like to play with?
I would love to do, there's a couple things that I would love. My number one on my list, Justice League International. The Geffen and DeMatteis and Maguire. I mean, when you see this, you'll see there's a lot of humor in it, and I love the idea of doing these characters and having a lot of the play and having a lot of the humor, and I would love to get my hands on Booster Gold and a Blue Beetle and Fire and Ice and Guy Gardner and Nort and all these just really fun characters. Martian Manhunter eating the Oreos. hilarious. It was one of the first times I realized, like, oh, superheroes can be funny. Like, their characters, you can run them up against each other, and their weaknesses can piss each other off. And you'll actually see a lot of that reflected in this film.